And right now we're going to go into something. We're going to bring Frenchie back in here with me for a minute. He and I are going to talk about something. And I just want to start here by saying, first and foremost, hello, sir. That One of the reasons I started this show is because I, I, I in the past have been a little critical, but I don't seem to have this. Everything is all good. Everything is always perfect in the Schmoedown world attitude. There are things that happen that I don't agree with. There are things that bother me. There are inconsistencies, things like that. Now, I will admit, in the past, I have approached bringing these things up in a very poor way. Christian Harloff knows that personally, as he has called me out at least once on Twitter for how I have approached some of these things. But there is something very serious that we need to just talk about here. And I wanted to bring Frenchie in because, in a way, he's involved in this specific thing. But I had, we're getting to the awards here, and there's a question. Not just here. I've heard of some people having discussions about it, and the question is, I guess I will pose it as should or is it fair, or our thoughts on Schmoedown Competitors also being nominated as reactors on the reactor shows.
Well,
That's something you and I talked about the other night, Frenchie.
well, look, my initial reaction was, come on, right? It's there's like it's fan reaction shows. The word fan is in it, but to be honest, more I thought about it, more I realized, look, it's if you look at the category, the nominees or potential nominees, it's a mix of a lot of things. There's shows with people who are in the Schmoedown, who used to be pure fan shows. It's a mix. It's not just a dominance of, right? And it's healthy to have a mix. And to be honest, they're not at a rundown level, right? At one point, Rundown kept winning, and because they're the main popular ones. But if you look at all the current shows, even with a Schmoedown star, they're not hitting like 4,000 or 5,000 views last time I checked. They're a fan show. They have a good number, but not in extreme numbers. If ever it is the case, maybe we should do the round-on effect and leave space for the you've achieved your momentum, you've achieved the crowning fan shows status onto the next, but they're not at that level. So I think it's actually healthy to have that competition. And again, it's not dominant in one type of show, so I think it's a healthy mix.
Yeah. And when we first started talking about this, I did have more of a hardline stance. And my stance at the time was more that I didn't think it was right. But after our discussion, I realized I don't know. And I'm here to ask the questions because they need to be asked, and we need to be able to talk about these things in a civil way. Because, I mean, these things can get heated really quick, but in coming into our discussion the other day, one of the things that I was thinking, I was under, like you said, fan content. I was under the impression that the Reactor Award was to recognize the fans of the Schmoedown. And my thinking was, does it take away from the work that they're putting into it? When you have folks who are in the Schmoedown and, and not taking away from anyone's content, but having a name on your show, it definitely helps. And that's kind of the tricky area that I see here that, there is definitely two ways to look at it. And that's kind of one of the ways I've been looking at it. It's very difficult and very tricky because yes, they are fans, but then another thing I think of is, and I'm not going to call anyone out, so I'll just say hypothetically, say I'm a Schmoedown competitor and I'm doing a fan reaction show. Would it be right if I was ever in a position where I could win both a Schmoedown award and a fan award? Because I mean, I don't know.
Look, we're short, a bit short in time right now, but I'm gonna re-put this, and I absolutely agree with Later Party. It's not a nomination for reactions; it's after show. After show, the reaction type of after show is a label. It's a type of, but there's multiple types, right? And this is anything to do with an after show, whoever you are, except like again, the rundown. They gave their space for the rest of us schmucks to have a chance, right? But it's right. It's an after show nomination, and you need diversity in types of shows. If not, after a while, how do you distinguish a winner, right? It doesn't mean just because you don't have a celebrity on your show doesn't mean you won't be successful, and doesn't mean you will be successful either. So it's not the main dominant factor. That for me, I'm actually happy. More I think about it, Christian went that way. All right, so let me just see. Anything, any other thoughts you had before we switch?
Yeah, I just there is a different. Well, is there a difference then between where, like, say, a show that has a Schmoedown competitor on it, as opposed to a Schmoedown competitors show, like their show? Like, should there be a line there? Like if it's like, say again, I'm a Schmoedown competitor and I run my own show. Is that different? Should that disqualify me as opposed to me just being a voice on a show?
There is a line, but it is not us to determine that line, I find. I think it's Christian's jobs to determine that line and his vision of how he wants. So yes, there is a line, but it's not really up to the fans, I find, for it to be determined. It really isn't.
Yeah.
We can give our opinions, but down the line, it's Christian's last words, right? He's the one who finalizes it. Yeah.
Yeah. And like I said, it's I haven't taken a side on this. I don't know. When we, like I said, also though, to be fair to the listeners, when we went into our discussion, I did have a side, and my side, I think one of the first things I told you is, dude, that I don't like that. It's not right. I mean, like, I use the words, it's not right. But then as we talked and you brought up points that you brought up, I can understand where you're coming from. And then also from as far as having a show and running a show and the content that you're putting out, that is extremely valuable to have a competitor on your show for that insight and stuff like that. I mean, it's valuable for the quality of the content as well. So, I mean, and then you get into the, if we aren't nominating X show because they have a competitor on it, then then you're kind of screwing over the fans who are on that show that aren't competitors. It's very difficult and it's very tricky. I know there are people who definitely don't think it's right. I know there are people who definitely don't care at all. But I mean, the point is that sometimes I'm going to ask these questions, and trust me, I've got a lot more of these on deck. Frenchie knows that. I got the rule book that I could rant on for a long time. I've got inconsistencies with countdowns pertaining to JTEs. I got a whole list of things. But the point is here that this is how I'm going to do it from now on. It's going to be in a constructive manner rather than me just, this is bullshit. I think this, I think that. And that's not constructive whatsoever, dude. Honestly, when I've done that in the past, that's kind of me being an asshole, even though I am simply expressing my opinion. I'm just a passionate Schmoedown fan, and I love competition, and I want it to be the absolute best it can be. So that's where I'm at on it.
All right. Well, thank you very much for sharing thoughts, and thank you for giving me an opportunity to share mine as someone is actually included in the scenario. So I really appreciate it.
Yes. And good luck, by the way. Good luck.
Thank you, sir.
You guys do great work over there at Schmoes of the North, man.
We really try our best. All right. So till next time. Bonsoir.
You want to hear something funny? The mic wasn't on that whole time.
No way.
Yeah, for real.
Oh, wow.
So smooth.